something's wrong.
They don't give you that stuff.
Well, good morning from Bob's Small End Repair in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. I'm with Kevin, and Kevin's going to help us out with my chainsaw that I just bought for sturgeon spearing. So he's going to talk about the ice kit that he puts on these chainsaws for when we cut holes for sturgeon spearing. So good morning, Kevin, and let's have at her.
Yeah, good morning. So Paul brought in a saw here. He's got a Husqvarna 390 XP. We do modify these saws. We have these in stock as well if you'd want a 390. There's the one that we build, we use the Husqvarna 592. That's the latest and greatest. Kind of their larger, it's a larger saw than what the 390 is, so a little bit more power. The 390 will run a 42-inch bar. This one will run it faster, so that's a plus there. We start with a basic 592 and the modifications that we do. So keep in mind, chainsaws were not designed to run in water, especially when it's frozen. So the things that we do, mainly we try to keep the water out of the airbox, keep the air cleaner dry, keep the throttle working, all that sort of thing when you're out on the ice making holes. So the modifications that we do, we apply the factory winter kit. So the air for the carburetor comes through the recoil here, so if we can keep water out of there, that's your first step. There is also a passage between here and here that must be blocked off, so that keeps water out of the airbox. Again, that's the number 1 goal here. Once it freezes up, you're pretty well done until you get it thawed out again, get the air cleaner cleaned out, get the throttle linkage thawed out, and all that sort of thing. So, step 1. Step 2, then we do apply just our small little water pad here. You're going to see all sorts of different things out on the ice. There's big shields. Be as creative as you want, but if you're standing and using this saw correctly in the right spot, you'll stay relatively dry. You're still going to get wet a little bit, but that we weld the brackets onto the picks here, and then we create these. That gets applied to the saw. We use Oregon bar. That is, besides the Husqvarna or factory bar, these are really good quality bars. We've had a couple in the past that didn't hold up as well, so they're not cheap. They last a long time. There's a couple things here that we could do, spend less money on, but just not happy with the final result. So we stick with the Oregon bar and chain. We use steel chain here, that's where we start. And then we make a couple of different varieties of ice chain. So what you see on the saw, this is what we call a heat and bend. Here's an example of a heat and bend. So we take the steel chain, we cut the entire top strap back, and then this is a skip link chain is what it's called. And then we will take and heat and bend this one. You leave one straight, 2 more bent, and another straight one. What that'll do is you look down that chain, you've got straight ones and the bent ones. So it'll clear all the ice from the middle where you're sawing. So that is one design that we have here, and then this would be your traditional chain. This is another one, a piece of steel chain that we start with. We cut the top strap back just a touch. Rakers come off on both of them, and then it's sharpened super aggressive for ice. This chain will typically throw a little less water, the heat and bend, because the top strap is gone. That actually acts as a little scoop, if you will. The traditional chain cuts typically a little bit faster. So that's up to you to decide which direction you want to go.
Great, now we're going to figure out that decision.
Yep.
Okay, so the next biggest thing we talked about was the biofuel that we use in these saws.
Yep, so a couple of things. These days we recommend, old days they didn't have an oil available that you could use in the ice that wouldn't leave a sheen on top of the water. So guys were using vegetable oil or just running the screw greaser, which we didn't talk about yet, but what you're doing is you're protecting your bar and chain. Like if you're running a wood saw, you run bar and chain oil. Otherwise you're wearing your chain out, the rivets out, the bar out. This stuff's expensive, so you want to protect it, get as many years out of it as you can. So steel has a product called Biofuel. It is 93-94% biodegradable within a couple of days. You don't see the sheen on the water. It's bar and chain oil. It's not cheap compared to regular bar and chain oil, but it works well. So that extends the life of your bar and chain. Nothing you have to do but put it into the saw. It's got automatic oiler, it runs itself. So recommend that. Even in your older saws, we can get your oil pumps working if they don't anymore, and you can run that. So
we're going to be doing that for sure. And this is the cool thing about this right here.
Yep. One of the other things we do to build an ice saw, we install a screw greaser. So we drill and tap the side cover, and we drill the bar so the grease goes directly into the bar groove, just like the bar oil. So this is what they used to use in the old days for lubrication. These days it works well. It still does work well forcing the water out of the chain. After you pull the saw out of the water, you just run the saw up a little bit, get a little RPM, and you turn this down until you see the chain turn white. That forces most of the water out of the chain, so then you can get it into your truck and let it stay warm. But if you can get it as dry as possible, that helps. So we use these. These have been available since the 40s. These screw greasers. Here's what they look like. These things run about $150 now. I mean, you can find cheaper alternatives, but the nice thing about this is they work. When they're frozen, you twist, it forces grease into the barn chain, so that's why we stick with that.
Okay. Anything else on there we gotta know about?
Pretty much builds you an ice saw. It's buying parts and pieces, a little labor to put it together.
I love the guards you guys sell here too. That's pretty
here's
cool.
our scabbard. We have these produced in town here. It's made out of aluminum, so the hardened steel of the chain doesn't bother it. The plastic ones, they'll get chewed up a little bit, or we see all sorts of interesting things coming in, but these last a long time.
So you'll have this done tomorrow for me? Okay. All right. Well, when we're done, we're going to show another video and all that great stuff, so stay tuned. See you in Coot's Lures.